This is a story about the consequences of human/animal experimentation. While it may sound like a good idea at first, we will learn that there is always a price to pay. A couple, Clive and Elsa, work as genetic engineers in a well-known company named Newstead that has been creating completely new life forms for medicinal purposes by combining DNA from various species. Their first ever successful species, Ginger, has exceeded all expectations in its ability to produce medicinal proteins for livestock. However, since the birth of her fellow being, Fred, the genetic engineers have an upgraded splicing technique that can be applied to the most sophisticated of organisms like humans. The couple thinks that by incorporating human DNA into the hybrid template, they can address a number of genetically influenced diseases like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and even some forms of cancer. Unlike Clive and Elsa, the company's officials, William Barlow and Joan Chorot, do not support the idea because they think the moral outrage provoked by human experimentation would be entirely out of control. Instead of focusing on a new experiment, Joan wants the couple to isolate the gene in Ginger and Fred that produces the protein. But it seems like our couple doesn't want to spend the next 5 years of their lives creating livestock product that requires being surrounded by animal fecal matter all the time. As Clive and Elsa seek new inventions, they decide to take matters into their own hands. Without informing the company, the couple starts a unique experiment in which they will integrate the DNA of an anonymous female donor into the hybrid template. After several unsuccessful tries, they finally get their desired results that might prove to be biotechnology's most startling breakthrough in decades. Upon seeing the fantastic results, Elsa decides to choose another path against Clive's instructions. Instead of reporting Joan about their success, she locks herself in the birthing room in order to start the development of their creation. After keeping the ovum ready for insertion, Elsa unlocks the door and lets Clive in so he can rethink his decisions. Stating that human cloning is illegal, Clive refuses the idea, but Elsa makes him realize that they are creating a hybrid that won't be entirely human, which means they cannot be accused of committing a crime. Elsa only wants to know whether their ovum can generate a sustainable embryo. After deciding that he will destroy the embryo within minutes of its development, Clive finally agrees to take the risk. In addition to keeping the project secret from his boss, Clive often has to dodge his colleagues' questions. While the embryo's development continues, Clive and Elsa engage in a conversation about their future. It seems like Clive is ready to start a family and thus wants Elsa to look for a bigger place. However, Elsa, who doesn't want to carry a child, is against bending her life for someone that doesn't even exist yet. As they talk, the lab alarm goes off, revealing that the fetus is ready to come out before its due date. The pressure begins to build in the chamber due to the fetus's size, compelling Clive to reset the measures. When he is unable to depressurize the chamber, Elsa decides to do that manually. As she puts her hand inside the glass, a mysterious force, presumably the fetus, starts to injure Elsa's hand, forcing Clive to break the glass and cut the bag. Elsa is freed, but the fetus detaches itself and begins to move rapidly on the ground. After sealing the moving clot under a plastic container, when Clive looks at Elsa's hand, he learns she has poison in her body. In a matter of seconds, Elsa begins to experience seizures. Without wasting time, Clive finds an injection in the lab and finally helps Elsa recover from the convulsions. Thinking that the fetus is not fully formed and might be in pain, Clive decides to kill it, but Elsa makes him realize they can still learn a lot from it. However, it seems like Clive doesn't want to listen to anything this time. When he reaches the lab and checks on the fetus, he learns it has already been dead. As Clive heads out to arrange a bag for its disposal, Elsa opens the incubator and discovers that the bag is empty. It means the organism has detached itself from its outer protection. Before she can inform Clive about the situation, the newly born chicken-like thing surprises Elsa with its appearance. When Clive's attention is drawn to the falling lab equipment, he discovers that the creature is still alive. Suspecting a danger, he decides to gas the room and kill it, but Elsa is not ready to give up her creation yet. Against Clive's instructions, she tries to befriend the little creature. The plan seems to work out until Clive interrupts Elsa and takes her out of the room. Like always, Elsa refuses to follow Clive's instructions and knocks out the creature with some ether so she can find out more about its anatomy. While examining the hybrid, the couple learns that none of her animal components have predatory characteristics, yet she can poison another being. Moreover, she is growing too fast, which means she will die soon. Clive wants to kill the organism, but Elsa makes him realize that it will pass quickly anyway, and they can observe her entire life cycle in compressed time. Unwillingly, Clive finally agrees to carry out a detailed examination of the creature. In a meeting with Clive, Mr. Barlow informs him about the importance of developing medicinal protein. If they don't start projecting big profits soon, Newstead will be in serious trouble. While the company continues its preparation for the final presentation of Fred and Ginger, the creature keeps evolving rapidly. The emergence of arms and the closing seam that bisects her body suggests that she develops like a fetus outside the womb. Early cognitive recognition tests indicate growing intelligence, but what they got in her abdomen cavity's X-ray remains a mystery. Surprisingly, the organism can even communicate with Elsa like a child. One day, Clive returns to the lab only to find the creature outside her room playing with Elsa. When he tells Elsa that the specimen needs to be contained, the former gets angry and names the creature Dren, showing that she considers her much more than just part of an experiment. As the couple is arguing over Dren's existence, one of the colleagues and Clive's brother, Gavin, sneaks into the room, where he gets attacked by the creature. Before Dren can harm Gavin with the venom on her tail, Elsa orders her to return to her room. On the other hand, Gavin is too shocked to see the hybrid creature. Out of fear, he immediately leaves the area without uttering a word. Being a brother, Gavin won't tell Barlow about the new experiment, but still, Clive needs to hide Dren. It turns out that Barlow has ordered the renovation of the entire department for their upcoming presentation, which means Elsa's secret is at high risk of getting revealed. After transferring Dren to the storage room downstairs, Clive has a small conversation with Gavin, who is worried for his brother. He thinks that Clive might go to jail for doing illegal experimentation. Saying that his brother has wrongly supported his wife, Gavin leaves the conversation in anger. Clive returns to the basement and sees Dren suffering from a high fever. When her body doesn't cool down, Clive submerges her in a water tub. Seeing that Dren is resisting, Elsa thinks that she is dying. However, when Clive uses force to soak her in the water, Dren takes a deep breath, revealing that she can stay alive underwater. It turns out that the masses in Dren's abdomen cavity that were not recognized earlier can now be described as her amphibious lungs that allow her to breathe underwater. As time passes, Dren evolves into a young human-like creature. The day of introducing the world to Ginger and Fred arrives, but it doesn't go as planned. Just when the barriers are lowered, the two creatures release their venomous stingers and begin to attack each other. In a matter of seconds, the blood-soaked glass chamber breaks, causing flesh and blood to spill on the guests. After a huge failure, Joan and Barlow call a meeting and ask the scientists why the incident occurred. Using the remains of the creatures, Clive and Elsa carried out an examination. The results showed that Ginger had somehow undergone certain hormonal changes that turned her into a male. Already infuriated, Joan gets even more irritated when she learns that the creature changed her sex and the scientists never knew about it. Elsa and Clive were so busy examining Dren that they didn't pay much attention to Fred and Ginger. The two males confronted each other in the glass chamber and killed each other in a brutal fight. Afraid of getting caught, Elsa decides to take Dren to the farm she grew up on. The farm's condition shows that Elsa lived in a toxic household where she was badly treated by her mother. While Elsa and Clive spend their days at work, Dren gets tired of being alone all the time. Her body is also changing over time. She likes eating fresh meat and going outside. One day, when Elsa refuses to accept Dren's demands, the latter explodes in anger before breaking the ceiling window to escape. Elsa and Clive try to stop her, but it seems like Dren cannot live a lonely life anymore. In an effort to run away, when Dren is about to jump off the roof, she trips and falls. Just then, wings emerge out of her arms and back, saving her from dying. Before she can fly away, Clive calms her down and makes her realize how important she is to them. The following day, while Clive is at the office, Elsa spends some time with Dren telling her about her traumatic childhood stories. When she looks at Dren's drawing, she is confused to witness that Dren has only made sketches of Clive and not hers. Infuriated at Dren's not-so-normal behavior, Elsa becomes rude to her and takes away her cat, the only living friend Dren has. When Clive returns from the office and finds Dren sad, he turns on the music and teaches her how to dance just to elevate her mood. However, things take some weird turns when Dren dances close to Clive as if she is seducing him. Uncomfortable and confused about the whole situation, Clive confronts Elsa the following day and asks her to tell the truth. It turns out that Elsa incorporated her DNA into the hybrid template only to achieve the desired results, even if it took risking her own life. After realizing that she is rebuking Dren for nothing, Elsa returns the cat. However, Dren shows extremely violent behavior as she kills the cat in protest and later knocks down Elsa. Grabbing the key, Dren tries to escape, but before she can take a step outside, Elsa hits a shovel on her head, causing her to go unconscious. After realizing that her most beloved creation is becoming rebellious, Elsa becomes entirely opposite of what she was earlier. A scientist, who desperately wanted to keep Dren and fought for her safety all that time, now chooses evil ways to make things right. Due to Dren's unstable condition, Elsa removed her zootoxin glands and stinger so she could never harm someone again. When Clive returns home, he is shocked to see that Elsa has strapped Dren to the table and is carrying out an operation on her. Clive tries to argue with her, but it seems like Elsa doesn't want to listen to anything. With Dren's stinger, Elsa carries out an experiment and finally manages to prepare the protein the company has been working on for years. After informing Barlow about the production, she returns home only to discover Clive and Dren together naked. Disgusted about what she has just seen, Elsa returns to her apartment with Clive following her. A fight ignites between the two, with Clive blaming Elsa for doing the crime they shouldn't have done. Moreover, he accuses Elsa of intentionally using her DNA into Dren. Clive thinks she has done this so she can control Dren, just like her mother. Elsa solely wanted a kid whom she could love and hate, and the experiment gave her this opportunity that allowed her to treat Dren just the way she wanted. When Clive learns that Elsa has synthesized the therapeutic protein they have worked on for years, he decides to kill Dren to rectify their mistake. Unwillingly, Elsa agrees to the idea, so they head their way back to the farmhouse to pull off their plan. Elsa loses control when she finds Dren dead in the pool. Due to unknown reasons, Dren drowned, leaving Elsa distressed behind. As the scientists have already derived the protein, they decide to bury her outside the house. While Clive and Elsa are burning Dren's stuff, they are approached by Gavin and Barlow, who have found human DNA content in the synthesized protein. As Fred and Ginger didn't have any human DNA, Barlow is evident that Elsa and Clive have used some other hybrid species hidden from the company. After learning that Barlow suspected the protein's origin, Gavin told him everything and took him to the farm to discuss things further with the scientists. When Elsa is inquired about the creature, she reveals that their specimen has already died and been buried in the backyard. Before Barlow can visit the place, he is attacked by an unknown force that grabs him away and kills him within seconds. It turns out that Dren has turned into a male, just like Fred and Ginger, because of the presence of their DNA content in her body. Before the trio can do anything, Dren approaches and takes Gavin into the forest. Afraid of losing his brother, Clive follows Gavin but is unable to find him anywhere. While looking for him in the water, Clive loses his torch, compelling him to bend down and retrieve it. Dren, in the water, grabs the stick and pulls Clive inside, but the scientists somehow manage to escape. Seeing the deadly creature, Elsa tries to run away, but soon she gets caught. As Dren has now turned into a male, he knocks Elsa down and assaults her. Just then, Clive approaches and stabs a metal rod into Dren's chest, drawing the creature's attention toward himself. Elsa tries her best to injure him with a rock, but Dren still manages to poison Clive with his stinger, which he has managed to regenerate. After hitting the stone at Dren's head for the last time, Elsa goes unconscious while we see the creature and Clive lying dead on the ground. Ultimately, we learn that Elsa is carrying Dren's child, whose hybrid DNA is significant for the company's incoming experiments. After signing the contract with Joan, Elsa finally accepts her fate and decides to go along with the highly unpredictable consequences of her secret experiment. I hope that you enjoyed this story. Please like and subscribe.